My video for October 6th, 2019 is video number 3229, and the title is Governor of Delusion. Who or what is God? A long time ago, I came up with an acronym for God, Grantor of Desire. Now I come up with another one, Governor of Delusion. Is God both? Are duality and singularity two sides of the same thing, both part of this creation? Is life nothing more than theater or a trial of some sort? Does it have a beginning or an end? Or does it just make a continuous loop? Does it spiral upwards or can it go up and down depending on choices? Perhaps it's an assumption to think there is anything such as choice or free will. Meanwhile, as I contemplate these things, I am aware that I am riding on some sort of a mental and or emotional merry-go-round, roller coaster, or Ferris wheel. I am plagued by the idea that human life may be nothing more than entertainment for God, whichever acronym you may think applies. Is God really all that is, both good and bad? I've spent the last few hours before this recording, and actually I wrote my blurb for this video while I was listening to that recording, and it's part of the Cassiopean experiment that my friend from England sent to me and recommended, and it's a humongous amount of information. What I was just listening to was channeled information in which a lady was asking, well, I'm assuming it's a lady. It's my reader, so then the reader's name is a female voice. But in any case, she's channeling the information. And one of the interesting things that came out in that was some Christian was putting her down for saying channeling is of the devil. And she asked, well, what about the Bible? Isn't the Bible channeled information that supposedly came from God or the gods and was brought down? Well, yeah, but that's God doing that. Well, how do you know it's God? You know, there's lots of questions about God. Is God a grantor of desire? Does he give us whatever we want to pursue and say, okay, see where that leads? And so we get our desire granted and we see where it leads. And yet many of us have the experience of desiring things that we're never able to achieve because something or someone blocks us from being fulfilled in our desires. Well, the other acronym that came to me is Governor of Delusion. And governor implies control, one that controls the thing. Again, government means mind control. And delusion is the lie. So if we want to believe the lie, we can believe whatever we want, see where it leads. Is God both good and evil? Some would say yes, and others might say, well, there is no God, it's just us. Well, is God then all that is? In other words, is the created world, including ourselves in it, all just simply a part of God? Because we're all creating something, whether positively or negatively, we all get to, at the very least, create our response to situations in which we find ourselves, even if we think we had no choice in bringing those situations into our world or into our lives. There's a lot of confusion. You know, is the creator just an explorer that's exploring possibilities, and we're products of that exploration? And since it's all God and God is everything and everywhere and all that is, then we're God. But not all of it, but certainly some of it. And perhaps we're all of it, but we don't remember because we're operating with a partial deck. We've not been dealt all the cards. We're maybe a 52 card deck in which we're given, a bunch of deuces and maybe even a wild card or two. Who knows? Who knows? From a jack to a queen, from loneliness to a wedding ring. I see how songs come to my mind when I'm making my videos. The jack, of course, is the dark side. The king is supposed to be God. The queen is the goddess. Are we all gods and goddesses? But are we also just actors in a play that we forgot we wrote or perhaps did not write at all? Are we victims or are we co-creators? These are questions that are important, and they keep coming to my mind. It's very fascinating to me because after my recent videos, I felt such inspiration. When I woke up this morning, I felt like, what the heck am I going to talk about? For a number of hours in the morning, I was wrestling with, what do I talk about today? And I really didn't know. I felt like my mind and everything was just a blank slate. And then I remembered the Cassiopean experiment that my friend Matthew recommended to me. And I went back and I started listening to 3 hours of questions and answers. And yes, it's channeled information, as I said. But all books of inspiration are channeled information. It's whoever the scribe is that writes them down is receiving it from something outside of himself or herself, or at least that's what I'm led to believe is true. But what is truth? Is anything true? Does anything matter? Well, obviously, something matters because here we are in a material universe. We matter. We have already mattered. But our reality, some suggest, is non-physical. It's beyond time and space. It's beyond manifestation. It's beyond even our conceptualization abilities. We can't conceive. Eye hath not seen nor ear heard, neither has it entered into the heart of man the things that God has prepared for those that love him. Again, I'm quoting a scripture. But I've learned all these things, and I've reached a point in my life after almost 73 years on this planet, in this body. I've reached a point where I scratch my head and I keep asking, what is true? What is real? Does my life really have a purpose? I've always believed it did. Did I deceive myself? Am I deluded along with pretty much everybody else on this planet, or maybe everybody else on this planet? Do we live in a creation that is simply a strong delusion? See, questions, questions, questions. A wise person is not known by someone who thinks they have answers. A wise person is known, someone told me once, by the amount of questions and the detail of the questions that they're willing to ask. Not of somebody else. We don't need somebody else's answers. We each need these answers for our own self. But then again, what is our own self? Are we limited or are we unlimited? Are we physical or are we spiritual? What is the truth? You're going to have to decide for yourself. I can't give you your answer, nor can you give me mine. We each have to find it for ourselves. Thank you for listening, and namaste.